Eldenwood was a village where time seemed to drift along with fallen leaves. Nestled amidst rolling hills, it held an ancient charm. At its heart lay a grove of willow trees, their branches trailing like silken threads. The villagers called it the Whispering Willows. Legend had it that the willows held ancient magic. They whispered secrets on the breeze. The willows had witnessed countless seasons, their bark etched with the passage of time. They stood as silent guardians. Their leaves shimmered silver in the sunlight. The villagers believed the willows brought lovers together. They whispered blessings upon those who sought solace beneath their boughs. The grove was a sanctuary. It was a place where dreams took flight. It was here that Ilara, a young artist, found her inspiration, and it was here that she would meet Finn, the musician who would change her life forever. Ilara spoke the language of color. Her world was a canvas where emotions swirled and blended. From a young age, she found solace in art. Her paintbrushes danced across the canvas. They brought to life the beauty she saw in the world. But Ilara harbored a secret. She was afraid to express her true feelings. Her art, while beautiful, lacked a certain depth. It was as if she was painting with only half her heart. Ilara longed to break free from her self-imposed cage, but fear held her captive. She was afraid of being vulnerable. She was afraid of rejection. So she hid behind her art, letting her brushstrokes speak what her heart could not. Each day, Ilara would visit the Whispering Willows. She would sit beneath the ancient trees. She would lose herself in the play of light and shadow. The willows seemed to understand her pain. They whispered words of encouragement. They urged her to embrace her true self. Finn was a musician. Music flowed through him like a river. He arrived in Eldenwood like a summer breeze. His arrival brought with it the promise of warmth and joy. Finn had a smile that could light up a room. His laughter was infectious. He carried his guitar strapped to his back. It was an extension of himself. His music had a way of seeping into people's souls. It could soothe the most troubled heart. Finn was a storyteller at heart. His music was his voice. Through his melodies, he shared tales of love and loss, of hope and despair. He had a gift for making people feel seen and heard. One sunny afternoon, Finn wandered into the Whispering Willows. He was drawn by their mystical beauty. As he walked among the ancient trees, he felt a sense of peace settle over him. He sat down beneath a particularly large willow. He began to play a soft melody. The notes danced upon the breeze, weaving their way through the leaves. Ilara was painting in her usual spot. The sun dappled through the leaves. It created a mosaic of light and shadow on her canvas. She was lost in her work. She didn't hear Finn approach. The sound of music drifted through the air. It was unlike anything she had ever heard before. It was haunting and beautiful. She looked up, startled. Her eyes met Finn's. He smiled, a warm, genuine smile that reached his eyes. Ilara felt her heart skip a beat. She quickly looked away, flustered. She had never been comfortable with attention, especially not from someone like him. "That's a beautiful melody," she said softly, her voice barely a whisper. "Thank you," Finn replied. "I was inspired by this place. It has a certain magic about it, don't you think?" Ilara nodded, her eyes drawn back to her canvas. She felt a strange mixture of emotions. Curiosity, apprehension, and a flicker of something else she couldn't quite place. As the days turned into weeks, Ilara and Finn found themselves drawn back to the Whispering Willows. They would sit beneath the ancient trees, sharing their hopes and dreams. Ilara was captivated by Finn's music. It spoke to something deep within her. Finn, in turn, was enchanted by Ilara's quiet strength. He was mesmerized by her art, seeing the raw emotion she poured into her work. He longed to help her break free from her shell, seeing the beauty in her vulnerability. One day, Finn brought Ilara a single wildflower he found in the meadow. It was a simple gesture, but for Ilara it meant the world. No one had ever given her a flower before. She carefully placed it in a vase in her studio, and it became a symbol of their burgeoning friendship. One evening, as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the grove, Finn started to play a melancholic tune. It was a song about unrequited love. Ilara listened intently, her heart aching with a mixture of sadness and understanding. "That's a beautiful but sad song," she said, her voice barely audible above the whisper of the wind. "It's about someone who is afraid to love," Finn replied, his eyes meeting hers. Ilara looked away, her cheeks flushing. She felt exposed, as if Finn had seen right through her carefully constructed walls. Sometimes, Finn continued, his voice soft, the greatest fear is not of rejection, but of allowing ourselves to love and be loved in return. His words hung in the air between them. Ilara's heart pounded in her chest. She wanted to speak, to tell him that he was right, but the words caught in her throat. She grabbed her easel and started to paint with a ferocity she had never experienced before. Finn watched in awe as she moved with a newfound confidence. Her strokes were bold and sure. They were filled with raw emotion. For hours, Ilara painted. She painted until the moon replaced the sun in the sky. She painted until her fingers ached and her heart felt like it would burst. When she finally stepped back, exhausted but exhilarated, she realized that she had poured her entire soul onto the canvas. She had painted a portrait of Finn, but it wasn't just a physical representation of him. It was a reflection of his soul, of the way his music made her feel. It was a testament to the transformative power of love. Finn approached the canvas slowly. He stood before it, speechless. He had never seen anything so beautiful. He reached out and gently touched the paint. It was still wet. "Ilara," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "This is incredible. You poured your heart and soul into this." Ilara blushed, overcome with a wave of self-consciousness. She had never let anyone see her so vulnerable before. But as she looked at Finn, his eyes filled with admiration and something deeper, she realized that it was worth the risk. In that moment, beneath the watchful gaze of the whispering willows, Finn and Ilara confessed their love for each other. It was a love born of music and art, a love that had blossomed in the most unexpected of places. Their love story became a tale whispered on the wind. It flowed through the village like a melody. Ilara's art bloomed with vibrant colors. It reflected the newfound joy in her heart. Finn's music, infused with the depth of their love, resonated through the cobblestone streets of Eldenwood, bringing smiles to the faces of all who heard it. 1 year later, Finn and Ilara were married under the Whispering Willows. It was a magical ceremony. The air was filled with the scent of wildflowers. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting a golden glow over the gathering. As a symbol of their eternal love, Finn and Ilara planted a willow sapling near the edge of the grove. Years passed. The sapling they planted grew tall and strong. Its branches reached towards the sky, as if trying to touch the heavens. The villagers whispered that it was the most beautiful willow in the grove. They said it was a testament to the enduring power of love. The whispers of the willows echoed through the ages. They carried with them the tale of Ilara and Finn. A reminder that even in the quietest corners of the world, love has the power to transform lives and inspire art that speaks to the very soul. If you like this story, subscribe. If you don't like it, subscribe.